Case of Chris Watts, who unalived his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two young daughters in August of 2018, became one of the most infamous criminal cases in recent history. While Watts ultimately confessed to the unalivings, his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, was thrust into the spotlight as questions arose about her role and potential knowledge of the crime. There have been many updates lately. Chris being moved to another prison, NK being spotted after all this time, and the armchair detective speaking out on being called evil for his opinions about the case. So the Watts family took place in Frederick, Colorado on August 13th of 2018. Chris was convicted of unaliving his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two daughters, Bella and Celeste. Initially, he denied any involvement, but after failing a polygraph test, he confessed to the unalivings. His motive was largely attributed to his affair with Nicole Kessinger, a co-worker who he had been seeing for about 2 months prior to the crimes committed. There have been questions as to how long they've known each other or have been in a relationship. Her interviews with investigators made her a suspect in the court of public opinion.
This room is recorded, and video and audio. We introduced ourselves in the lobbies and earlier, so we're just going to do that again real quick. My name is Kevin Kovac. I'm with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and we're assisting the Frederick Police Department with this case involving Chris Watts. And this is Tim Martinez, also an agent at CBI. Sir, if you just introduce yourself.
Dwayne Kessinger. I'm Nicole's father.
Dwayne, what's your birthday?
November 58.
And home address for you, sir?
81 West 16th Avenue.
What city?
And that's Arvada, 8004.
And a cell phone or home phone or where?
702-4547.
Thank you. And Nicole, can you just introduce yourself for the recording?
Nicole Kessinger. Do you need all the other stuff too?
Yes, please.
I live at 155 Claude Court, Unit 612, phone number 720-9605.
Claude Court, is that? I think we determined it was North Glen, right?
Yes.
You know your zip code?
80241.
Okay. Can you speak up just a little bit so the recorder, I know you're tired and you're stressed, and we won't be here any longer than we have to be. You've already had a conversation with people before. You came here on your own free will to talk to us. We picked you up at your request and brought you here. You can get up and leave at any time. You don't have to talk to us. If there's a question you don't want to answer, don't answer it. If you don't want to talk anymore, just tell me I want to leave. And I'm kind of in the way of the door, but you're not being interrogated as a criminal suspect. We're here to understand your relationship with Chris and what you know about Chris and his family and events relating to Chris Watts.
Cole Kessinger was contracted by Tasman Geosciences at Anadarko Petroleum, where she met Chris Watts. The relationship supposedly began in June of 2018 and escalated quickly. Kessinger later stated that Watts had told her he was separated and is in the process of divorcing Shanann. Text messages and phone records indicate that their relationship was intense, with Watts sending love letters and spending extensive time with Kessinger. The affair was characterized by passion and secrecy, as Kessinger deleted her messages and internet history after the came to light. Why delete anything if you aren't trying to hide something? NK says she thought they were in the process of getting a divorce, but her internet search history proves that she has lurked into Shanann's Facebook page, which would have suggested otherwise. Leading up to the unalivings, Kessinger and Watts exchanged explicit messages and discussed the future together. On August 4th, 2018, Watts took Kessinger to the Great Sand Dunes National Park while his family was away. Just days before the murder, Watts was researching jewelry for Kessinger and looking up ways to marry a mistress. One of the many things that drew me to this case was all of the attacks on Shanann Watts. I wanted to look into all of these allegations as to why folks were bashing on her so much. I needed to understand why everyone was so divided. Going through all of her lives, text messages, and Facebook posts, nothing justified the attacks. Going through the discovery was tough. Reading her text messages to Chris, she was willing to give him space and leave him alone for over a month in hopes that it would fix things between the two. She was trying to save her marriage, and she just wanted him to be honest with her. At 3:36 p.m., in a lengthy message, Shanann told Chris, "Truth came out last night. I didn't create no dagger between you and your dad. That was done by your mom and your dad, and I won't change a thing. My daughter's life is way more important, and you better believe I wanted to say a whole lot more than I did, but I was being the bigger person and protecting Bella. I didn't tell your dad not to come to party. I didn't tell him not to text or call your daughter on her birthday. I didn't tell him to start acting like he has only 2 grandkids instead of 4. I didn't block your family on Facebook. He did. Myself and your kids have nothing to say to them. They do. They owe your kids their life. Your parents' home isn't a safe zone. Your mom isn't safe. You can let them tell you what you want, but I didn't tell anyone to stop loving your kid or stop acting like it. He did that, not me. You can believe I created this dagger, but I didn't do that. I stood up for our kids. I advocated and protected our children. I don't ever want to hear sorry, I killed your kids because I was stupid. That would kill me. These kids are my world, and I have to protect them from the evil of the world. I shouldn't have to protect them from evil family. Our kids deserve the same love and attention the other kids get. Nothing less. I'm not accepting I'm sorry from your mom because she doesn't mean it and she knew what she was doing. I made it very clear not to eat it around Celeste because she doesn't understand way before that happened. She's evil and willing to risk your daughter's life just to get under my skin. You and your dad are no different if you're okay with her behavior. There's nothing wrong with me and I'm not crazy. I just love my kids way too much. From the day I left you, you never said I missed you before I said it. Something changed when I left. You may be happier alone and that's fine. You can be alone. This pregnancy, you have failed to acknowledge it or to acknowledge how I'm feeling. The first trimester is the scariest and most dangerous, yet we can lose this baby at any point till delivery. I'm not going to be treated this way for having the balls to protect our family and kids. I should get a gold medal for handling it the way I did, because I had a lot of choice words I wanted to say to her and your dad for his stupidity. No one stands up to your mom and dad for that. He's just as guilty by not doing anything. I have nothing to do with him. Stop sharing memories of his grandkids. What does that have to do with me? They are with our kids' feelings, and that I'm not okay with. I am their mother and I will protect them. I have enough to worry about with the world out there. I'm not going to worry about family. I will just remove it. At 5:13, Shanann also added, I also don't control what you do. If you want to go hang out with your parents today, by all means do so, but without us. Don't put it on me why you can't go. You are your own person. At 7:26, Watts replied to Shanann for the first time. These kids mean the world to me, and always will. Yes, my mom truly screwed up in a huge way. More than a huge way. I don't know what I would have done if something had happened to Cece. These kiddos are the light of my life, and seeing their sweet, incredible smiles and playfulness makes me smile every day. I'm sorry for the way I've been acting. It's just been in my head, and I haven't been right at all. And at 7:31, Shanann responded with 2 messages to Chris. Yes, that I created this dagger between you and your dad, and that wasn't me. That was them. I protected our daughter from their stupidity. They created that, and you belong with them thinking otherwise. I didn't tell your dad to remove himself from the kid's life. I did and do not deserve to be treated the way you have. I defended our daughter. Some folks think that Shanann shouldn't have given Chris so much time alone, but this was pretty common in their marriage. She had to travel a lot for her business, and before NK stepped in the picture, there was never an issue. Most women see a wedding ring or know a man is married with children. They usually respect those boundaries. If some flirting turns into cheating, it stays what it is, a one-night stand, or chalked up as a hookup. NK seen the big house and nice car Shanann drove, and in my opinion, she thought she could live Shanann's life.
Hey. Cutting in and out, sorry.
Watts has decided he is not to blame for what happened to Shanann and to Bella and to Celeste and his unborn son. Nope. The women in his life are to blame. The Daily Mail just got its hands on some letters written by Watts at the Dodge Correctional Institute. That is a maximum security prison in central Wisconsin, where he was sent, and he has been there for the last 6 years. The letters show a man determined to find anyone but himself responsible for his diabolical behavior. He actually addressed his letters to God, zip code unknown. And he first unloads on his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, writing this: I was misled. I was tempted by a harlot. I was weak, and I allowed myself to be fooled by an evil woman. She led me from the path of righteousness. I know that you will deal with her someday. She will be judged. You know my heart, Lord. I am a man after your heart. I seek your face. I allowed her to sway me. FYI, Nicole Kessinger told the police that she was dating a man who told her that he was separated and divorcing. But then when his wife and children disappeared, she got very scared and she called the police immediately, leading to his arrest. But Watts doesn't stop with Nicole Kessinger. No, no, no. He unloads on other women, too, mostly unnamed women, calling them harlots and Jezebels and whores. And, of course, he blames his pregnant wife for being domineering and self-absorbed, suggesting that she caused her own death. I think I just threw up in my mouth. What is weird is that he doesn't seem to have it in for all women, because plenty of his letters are addressed to female pen pals. And get this, he seems to be looking for a new wife. My next guest broke this story. Steve Helling is a senior reporter with the Daily Mail. He is top-notch in true crime. He's a friend of the show, and he's a good friend of mine. Steve, I should have called you for a drink before you came on the air, as opposed to going for drinks after work, because I couldn't unclench my teeth while reading your piece. So just start with what else you've got on what he writes about women.
I should have warned you, first of all. Let's start there.
Yeah.
I got my hands on these letters. I've seen a lot of his letters. I know his handwriting. I know his writing style. And the thing about Chris Watts is that he couches everything that he writes in this spiritual Christianity type of thing that isn't like any Christianity that I know, that basically he doesn't take personal responsibility. He was always tempted. He was always weak. Somebody was always pulling him aside, and that somebody was always a woman. She was a whore. She was a harlot. She tempted me with her soft words and with her lips. It makes me think, can you take any responsibility whatsoever for what you did? And it seems like you can't.
Turns out no. Yeah, so he says in a letter that you got your hands on, quote, the lips of an immoral woman may be smooth, but no amount of paint on her face can disguise her evil heart. So now I guess it's the makeup's fault for what he did. But he doesn't seem to hate all women. He seems to really want a new one. What is the story about the search for a wife? Is there anybody who's actually interested?
Well, I mean, we see this all the time. Chris Watts is not a bad-looking person. And, there's always going to be somebody who's interested in him. And so there are women that write to him, and he writes back. He's actually very good at corresponding. And of course, a lot of the times he's just talking about, it's a lot of spiritual stuff that he talks about, a lot of Christianity, a lot of God, a lot of Jesus. But then, he'll sometimes talk about himself and be like, I'm misunderstood. And, I was a good father. I was a good person until something happened. But I'm still a good person. So, it's interesting what he'll say to these women. And, a lot of these women, they do fall for it. They do think, well, maybe he's changed. Maybe he's a better person than I thought he was.
I want to pop that piece back up there. We just had it up on the screen, but I want to read it. It was this business about being a good person. I'm barfing in my mouth. He says, I was a good husband and father. Things happened. Things happened. And I am no longer a good husband and father, but I am still a good man. Is this something he wrote to someone in particular, trying to convince her that he'd be her knight in shining armor?
He wrote this to a woman. And, I really, when I read it, I thought, things happen. I mean, things happen like it starts to rain. That's something that happens. What doesn't generally just happen is that you strangle your wife, smother your children, and bury their bodies in an oil field. That's not something just happening. So it just kind of shows, even his choice of words, that none of this is his fault. He didn't do anything. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, boy, I'll say. He doesn't even acknowledge any of the evil that he committed, it seems.
Like I said, there have been many updates lately. Chris traded a comfortable life for a life behind bars. Now he realizes he doesn't want to be in prison, so he begins to shift blame to others. One of my favorite go-to channels for the Watts case update is the Zawoki channel. Shout out Zawoki. And he recently posted about this. Go like and subscribe to Zawoki if you're not already. Inmate Watts' lack of accountability is hard to listen to. Chris needs to stop. He writes women all day, pleading his case to them as if what he's done can be forgotten. No, bro, just stop talking. He should be writing to his victims and praying to the man upstairs about forgiveness and not worrying about what his pen pals think of him. He should be worried about where his ass is going after he takes his final breath on this planet. He should be writing the Ruziks every day, telling them about how he hears his family speak to him every single night in that cold, dim cell. It was his decision to cheat on his wife and allow some hoe to play him. It was his and only his responsibility to protect his family from some stray. Instead of thinking of how Chris's actions would hurt his family, he only thought of himself. Chris is selfish as fuck. His babies should have come first.
We need a play date, Kendall.
Yup, this is NK today. He threw it all away for her. We finally got a confirmed sighting of her. I'm hearing it was her friend's mom's funeral. NK could have confronted all of the allegations and stood her ground like Amber Fry did, but instead she chose to hide. She faced intense public scrutiny. Many people believe she played a more significant role in the case than she admitted. She went into hiding due to death threats and accusations. Some saw her as an unwitting participant, manipulated by Watts, while others suspected she had knowledge of or even encouraged the unalivings. All the coverage intensified the speculation, portraying Kessinger as everything from a naive mistress to a calculated enabler, despite her so-called cooperation with law enforcement. The court of public opinion is still somewhat divided. Some think she had nothing to do with it, and some folks think she was definitely there or had a hand in the crimes. Nicole Kessinger is always going to remain a controversial figure in this case. Even though there isn't any concrete evidence, her actions before and after the crime have led to significant speculation.
How close is she going to be to you? You should be within like 30 minutes.
Various online commentators, often referred to as armchair detectives, began disseminating conspiracy theories about the case. One such individual, Alan Vinicombe, known online as the Armchair Detective, produced numerous YouTube videos alleging a cover-up involving Shanann's family, the Rusiks. These unfounded claims led to significant distress and harassment for the grieving family. In response, the Rusik family initiated legal action against Vinicombe in the United Kingdom, where he resides. Frankie Rusik, Shanann's brother, spearheaded this effort, emphasizing the need to halt the spread of false information and protect his family's reputation. The legal proceedings culminated in a ruling favoring the Rusiks, with the court finding that Vinicombe has indeed harassed the family. The judgment included an injunction preventing him from further disseminating defamatory content, and the determination of damages was scheduled for a later date. The case underscores the profound impact that online conspiracy theories can have on victims' families, exacerbating their grief and subjecting them to unwarranted public scrutiny. It also highlights the challenges of regulating online content and the responsibilities of platforms like YouTube in curbing the spread of harmful misinformation. Despite the Rusiks' effort to have such content removed, they encountered significant obstacles, illustrating the complexities of content moderation in the digital age. The legal victory achieved by the Rusiks family sets a precedent for addressing online harassment and defamation, particularly concerning conspiracy theories that target victims' families. It emphasizes the necessity for legal framework to evolve in response to the challenges posed by digital platforms and the dissemination of user-generated content. Furthermore, the case serves as a call to action for online platforms to implement more robust measures to prevent the spread of harmful and unfounded information, thereby protecting individuals from similar experiences of online harassment. The Daily Mail headlined, "The evil YouTuber sleuth cashing in on tragedy by spreading sick rumors about one of America's most brutal murders." AD responded, "I've had an epiphany moment. It's been ongoing, to be honest with you. I nearly canceled myself completely this morning. Of all platforms, right? And then I thought, as I suffer from my anxiety, what are you going to do with the rest of your life if you can't speak to all the many people that support you over the years?" He also went on to say, "I'm in the national newspapers. This is what I've wanted for years. That means now I can be a voice, right? No, because evidently I'm evil and making money out of crime. Where does that put Netflix? Where does that put all of the podcasters? Where does that put the millions of YouTubers? Where does that put the multi-millions of TikTokers that talk about, let's say, any crime? Pick one." I guess AD makes a good point there. He also went on to say, "Sometimes we forget that the people that die are real people, but they are real people with real relatives. And you have to think, what if that were my relative? And it's taken me all this time to realize we are doing harm. And it's not just me, evil armchair detective. It's evil you, and you. But only I have been brought to the book."